Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to this edition of the Beyond Africa podcast, where we're discussing issues in Cameroon. Particularly, we're going to be looking at the letter that Issa Tchiroma Bakari wrote to addressed to the military forces of Cameroon. After Issa Tchiroma Bakari claimed victory in the recent presidential elections, he addressed a letter to the people or to the military of Cameroon, giving them some advice and giving them some caution. In addition, he also issued a video yesterday in which he addressed himself to a wider audience, the military, ELECAM, and Constitutional Council authorities. He has also been releasing results he calls authentic results from the polling station, what I will refer to as the raw data. This contains results. Contains results in the procès verbal, that is in the report return sheet that were collated at the polling station, and does not in any way reflect the results that were discussed or analyzed or tabulated at the Divisional Supervisory Commission, and also does not take into account the results from the National Counting Commission. As you already know, the National Counting Commission rounded up its addition and subtraction of votes, and they are still waiting to sign the final report that will be submitted to the Constitutional Council. The Constitutional Council of Cameroon sits on Wednesday to review all the petitions that were filed by different political actors. So far, the PCRN of Cabral Libi that filed a petition and the SDF of Joshua Labangi Osi that also filed petitions have withdrawn their petitions from the Constitutional Council. As it stands, Tomaino Ndamjoya of the UDC, who also filed a petition, seems to be the only candidate whose petition is surviving at the Constitutional Council. So in the course of our conversation today, we would analyze the depth and the importance of Issa Tchiroma's letter, and also look at why he targeted key institutions, the Army, the Constitutional Council, and ELECAM, to talk to them in direct terms, telling them to be careful about the decisions they make, because the decisions made today would impact the nation in years to come. Was that call necessary? Was it not necessary? What do people think? What do Cameroonians think? Is Cameroon at the risk of falling into war? This you would understand more when my guests join me. But before my guests join me, I would like to share the speech that Issa Tchiroma Bakari issued early this morning for some people, but late last night for others. So after this, we'll talk about that.
Patriotes, Camerounaises, Camerounais, le 12 octobre, vous avez parlé haut et fort. Vous vous êtes levé dignement. Vous êtes allé voter malgré les menaces, malgré les intimidations, malgré les pressions. Vous avez choisi le changement. Vous avez choisi l'alternance. Vous avez choisi la transition. Et depuis ce jour, des manœuvres honteuses et répétées se multiplient pour voler la voix du peuple. Des bourrages durs, comme l'a avoué un cadre de l'ECAM à Makari. Des résultats impossibles au nord-ouest et au sud-ouest, où l'abstention massive liée à la guerre a été transformée par magie en 100% pour le régime sortant, alors que le rejet du régime se fait sentir de plus en plus dans ces régions. Mesdames et messieurs, comment peut-on combattre un régime au prix de sa vie et le récompenser au prix de son vote? Il faudrait que la conscience de cette population soit anesthésiée, ou alors qu'on veuille l'infantiliser pour qu'une telle chose ait lieu. C'est une vraie insulte à l'intelligence de la population que de leur dire qu'ils ont donné plus de voix au RDPC qu'ils n'ont d'habitants. Mon Dieu. Des procès-verbaux déchirés, remplacés au milieu des pages, pour inventer des chiffres qui ne figurent nulle part ailleurs, mais qui sont différents de ceux donnés à tous les représentants de partis politiques présents dans les bureaux de vote. Des scrutateurs chassés, les PV refusés aux partis, des juges complices qui ferment les yeux. Ceci, mes chers compatriotes, n'est plus une simple élection. C'est une forfaiture organisée contre la volonté populaire. Monsieur le Président du Conseil constitutionnel et Monsieur les membres, vous avez entre vos mains l'avenir d'une nation. Vous avez juré de protéger la Constitution et de défendre le droit. Aujourd'hui, vous êtes face à l'histoire. Vous pouvez soit valider la vérité des urnes et donner au Cameroun le changement pacifique qu'il réclame, soit cautionner la fraude et précipiter notre pays vers des lendemains incertains. Ne dites pas que vous n'avez pas su. Les preuves sont là. Elles circulent déjà dans tout le pays. Le peuple a massivement voté pour Tchiroma pour le changement. Vous le savez. Mesurez très bien les conséquences de la décision que vous prendrez. Alors, je vous le demande solennellement. Soyez du côté de la justice. Soyez du côté de la vérité. Soyez du côté du peuple. Prêtez allégeance au peuple et non à un clan, une classe ou une caste. Monsieur le Président sortant Paul Biya, vous avez dirigé ce pays pendant 43 ans. L'histoire vous observe. Vous avez encore une chance, une seule, celle de sortir par la grande porte un homme d'État qui respecte la volonté de son peuple. Ne terminez pas votre règne par une fraude aussi flagrante. Ne laissez pas votre nom s'inscrire dans les livres comme celui qui a fraudé jusqu'à la dernière élection. Vous avez toujours déclaré être un mendiant de la paix. Quittez donc le pouvoir avec honneur avant que le pouvoir ne vous quitte. Je vous tends une main fraternelle, prenez-la. À nos pays frontaliers, notamment le Nigeria et le Tchad, à l'Union africaine, à l'Union européenne, aux Nations unies, à la France, aux États-Unis, à tous les pays partenaires internationaux. Ne restez pas silencieux. Votre silence cautionne la dictature. Votre voix peut protéger la paix. Prononcez-vous. Dites la vérité. Agissez pour que la volonté du peuple camerounais soit respectée. Mes chers compatriotes, je vous le dis avec le cœur et avec force, votre voix ne sera pas volée. Ce n'est pas moi qui ai gagné, c'est vous. Ce n'est pas ma victoire, c'est celle du peuple camerounais tout entier. Le régime veut vous faire peur, mais c'est lui qui doit trembler, car cette fois, c'est le peuple qui a décidé et le peuple est prêt à défendre sa victoire. Le peuple va défendre sa victoire. Chers compatriotes, ne cédez pas à la provocation, restez calme, mais sachez que votre droit à la revendication universelle. Défendez votre victoire, parce que le seul résultat que nous reconnaîtrons, c'est celui issu des urnes. Chers compatriotes, mesdames et messieurs, le Cameroun est à un tournant. Soit nous acceptons encore une fois de trop le mensonge, soit nous prenons en main notre propre destin. Je vous réitère ma promesse. Je ne trahirai pas votre confiance. Sachez que je suis vent debout, droit dans le botte, déterminé à défendre coûte que coûte votre victoire acquise au prix de la sueur, des larmes et des sacrifices multiples. Le peuple n'en peut plus, le peuple n'en veut plus. Le peuple a gagné. Le peuple doit célébrer sa victoire. Ensemble, nous allons écrire une nouvelle page de notre histoire. Vive le peuple souverain, vive le Cameroun libre, uni et réconcilié. Je vous remercie. Mes chers compatriotes, Camerounaises, Camerounais, le 12 octobre, vous avez parlé haut et fort. Vous vous êtes levé dignement. Vous êtes allés voter malgré les menaces, malgré les intimidations, malgré les pressions. Vous avez choisi le changement.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for watching that speech by Isa Chiruma Bakari. There is some echo, and I would come back in a moment. Let me try to resolve that. Thank you. You are welcome back. We're sorry about the technical difficulties we're having. Our guests are finding difficulties to come into the studio. We don't know what is happening, but in the back, technicians are working with them to ensure that they come in. But the essential that I wanted to talk about today is the letter that Isa Chiruma Bakari issued to the forces of law and order. That is the first one we want to talk about. And in that letter, he calls on them to be at the service of the nation and not at the service of a clan, a caste, or a mysterious order for whatsoever reason. This is because Cameroon is at the crossroads, and Isa Chiruma Bakari, as he said in his letter, in his video outing recently, he believes he won the elections, but according to the counting or according to some other pronostics or some other declarations, there is no winner yet because the Constitutional Council has not yet declared whom the winner is going to be. But as we know, during elections across Africa and in some other countries, when there are elections contestations like this, there tends to be tension, and people or parties tend to fight, or conflict violence arises. Is Isa Chiruma Bakari at this point calling on the soldiers, on the military force of Cameroon to align with the people and avoid conflict? This definitely could be one of the reasons for which Chiruma is doing this, because when we look at international human rights reports and other research by academics and others in the field, the military has always, or sometimes the military has been used to violate human rights. An example is when Amnesty International published a report that Cameroon's military was used to violate the rights of citizens in the Marwa Salak airport during the height of the fight against Boko Haram. Similarly, human rights organizations have reported that the military was used to fight against Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, Anglophone activists, and those resulted in the abuse of human rights. We can think about the case of Garbu, where the government recognized and accepted that that Cameroonian soldiers violated human rights. So in this era of election contestation, is Issa Chiruma Bakari wondering or doubting, or does he believe that the government is going to use soldiers to fight against or to preempt him from taking power? That could be one of the reasons for which he is calling on the soldiers to be more Republican and avoid political or respect illegal orders. As a former spokesperson of the government, he has made it clear that he actually supported or defended the government for taking such actions with the military. But at the same time, he said those were government instructions and those were government recommendations that were sent to him by the ministers in charge. He claims he did not have a direct hand or direct knowledge in the decisions that were being made. This is left up to him and to Cameroonians who are listening to him and who are looking into the future of the country to decide whether or not Issa Chiruma Bakari is the right person to give the military lessons on this. But one thing is important. The military has a code of conduct. The military must respect the laws of the nation and also must respect international law. International humanitarian law punishes military officials who respect illegal orders. Likewise, Cameroonian law punishes soldiers and other forces of law and order who violate Cameroonian law, especially when the orders were illegal. So standing at a crossroads where Cameroonians are looking up to the military, are looking up to the forces of law and order, are looking up to the state institutions to decide on how the country is going to be ruled in the next few days, it is important that the forces of law and order, according to what Issa Chiruma Bakari wrote in his letter to them, pay patronage to the state by respecting the laws of the state, by respecting the constitution, and by respecting their oath of office, which was pledged to the constitution of the country and not to an individual, to a political party, or to a clan, to a tribe, or to tribesmen. Meaning the military is a Republican force that should focus its efforts on Republican values, on the Republican spirit, and on what needs to take the nation forward. Cameroon is at a point where everyone who has a voice needs to come out and support a just and rightful implementation of the results from the ballot box. Those who believe that Issa Chiruma Bakari won the elections are making their voices heard. And actually, Issa Chiruma Bakari is publishing reports, the raw data from the polling stations, where he argues that he won the elections. Since he started publishing these reports, we've not seen anyone come out to contradict the reports. But when he announced that the reports were going to be published, we read from others, like the Vice Secretary General of the CPDM, say he should publish all reports from all the polling stations, not only from some polling stations. In fact, Chiruma's argument was if he wins, as he claims he won in 18 divisions, he is likely going to win the presidency. Mathematically speaking, when you look at the number of voters or the number of registered voters per region and per divisions in those regions, it is possible to know where the highest number of voters are going to come from. And if you win in those areas, it is likely that you can carry the day. For example, the center has the highest number of registered voters per Elecam's data, followed by the littoral, and then the extreme north. And in all these three divisions, if you win in the main town, the chief towns of these divisions, it's possible that you can carry the day. However, we've not seen any reports from other stakeholders in the game telling us whether what Issa Chiruma Bakari is publishing is true or is false. He started publishing these yesterday, and we are hoping that those who think that his publications are not right, are not genuine, can actually contradict him with what they believe is genuine and is right. So I would get a transition here for a moment, see what the back team is doing if the guests are ready so that they can come in. So give me one moment while I go back to talk with the technicians and see if everything is working out. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome back to the Beyond Africa podcast with me, your host, Ngalim Bernard. I have one of our guests on the line. He's unable to get into the studio for whatever reason. We have technical difficulties getting him into the studio. So we would have Jean-Claude Fuda Mbede on the line, and he's going to join us by WhatsApp. Hello, Jean-Claude.
Yes, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Thank you
Good
so
evening here in Europe and good afternoon there.
Thank you so much for joining the Beyond Africa podcast. I would like to know from the comments section if the viewers can hear you, so we know if your voice is going through for everyone to hear. Can somebody leave a comment somewhere? All right. While we're waiting for the comment, Jean-Claude. So you are one of those who has been very observant on the elections, and you read the letter that Issa Tchiroma Bakari wrote to the military. And what are your first impressions about that? Feel free to express yourself in English and in French. I did not say "oh," I said in English and in French because our audience is bilingual. Thank you.
Once again, thank you for having me, and hopefully people, our viewers and listeners are getting me. I don't know. You will let me know.
Yes, I see them. I see them saying they can hear you and your voice is good. So thank you. You can carry on.
Okay. Thank you so much. And you know, we have all been involved in these elections because we need change to move on. In our country, because at this time, as he said, we really need a transition to take a lead in this country where nothing is going well. And this is according to the letter you were talking about. I think that it was a very good idea and initiatives. According to our first. Very recent informations, we know that some of the very high officials of our army, of the Cameroonian army, are ready to carry out, are ready to accompany the population who will be willing to go and to demonstrate on the street. Because what is going on is absolutely historic. What is going on in Cameroon, it is the first time we see how everyone, there is no tribalism, there is no community, no, it's not a community issue. Everyone is, fighting for the same goal, for the same will, for the same reason. This is the way, this is why we are all up. We are standing near, very closely to our, countrymates in Cameroon. So, comme je le disais, j'essaie de me résumer. Il s'agit d'un message extrêmement important, surtout que vous avez vu les audios qui ont circulé, certains d'anciens officiers de l'armée et même les informations que nous avons font état de ce que plusieurs officiers, sous-officiers et militaires, soldats de notre armée, de la gendarmerie et de la police ont refusé de se mettre contre le peuple. Et la façon dont le peuple camerounais s'est levé pour s'exprimer au cours de ces élections sans aucune ambiguïté signifie que, effectivement, comme le disait Rebecca Enonchon, la révolution a commencé et personne ne va la faire reculer. Donc la façon dont le peuple camerounais s'est levé cette fois signifie simplement que eh bien, tout le monde doit les accompagner et c'est ce que l'armée essaye de faire et les informations que nous avons le confirment. Et d'ailleurs, puisque j'aime parler avec les symboles, vous avez suivi les procès-verbaux, la diffusion des procès-verbaux par le président Issa Tchiroma et vous avez bien vu que dans une caserne de militaires à Moura, c'est Issa Tchiroma qui l'a emporté, mais vraiment très loin devant le président sortant Paul Biya.
Merci Jean-Claude. D'après vous, qu'est-ce qui a motivé Issa Tchiroma Bakary d'adresser ce missive aux militaires camerounais en ce moment précis?
Mais je crois que l'attitude d'Issa Tchiroma est déjà très bonne en soi parce qu'il s'agit de l'attitude d'un homme d'État. On parle de quelqu'un à qui les Camerounais sont en train de faire confiance sans vraiment rien lui exiger, surtout quelqu'un qui, il y a 3 mois, n'était pas dans les plans des Camerounais, mais les Camerounais ont décidé de lui confier les rênes de leur pays à travers un vote massif. Et donc, la chose importante, c'est que Issa Tchiroma est en train de se revêtir de ses attributs, les attributs d'homme d'État, de père de la nation. Il prend ses responsabilités. Vous savez, la répétition, c'est la mère de l'enseignement. He's repeating this, even if they all know that. Parce que Thomas Sankara disait qu'un militaire sans formation, sans idéologie est un danger pour la société, pour la démocratie, pour le peuple. Il est important qu'on rappelle à ces militaires leurs devoirs fondamentaux et qu'on leur dise que le changement qui arrive est également leur droit. Donc je crois qu'il était important de leur expliquer exactement ce qui est en train de se jouer au Cameroun en ce moment pour qu'ils comprennent que le changement qui arrive n'est pas contre l'armée. Et donc, ils ont prêté serment pour défendre la Constitution, les institutions et le peuple camerounais qui en est le dépositaire. Et il était important qu'on leur rappelle cela, qu'ils ne sont pas au service des individus, d'un clan, d'une caste, d'une classe, ils sont au service de tout le peuple camerounais. Or, aujourd'hui, ceux qui voudraient manipuler l'armée, qui voudraient utiliser l'armée, c'est un petit clan, c'est vraiment une poignée de marginaux qui ne veulent pas perdre leurs avantages et leurs privilèges et qui veulent utiliser leur ethnie, qui veulent utiliser leur position, qui veulent légitimer la barbarie qu'ils sont en train de vouloir faire à travers la forfaiture, qui veut les pousser à voler le vote des Camerounais. Or, la façon dont Issa Tchiroma a remporté ce scrutin, je parle des résultats qui sont sortis des bureaux de vote. Ce que nous avons vu, ceux qui sont contenus dans les PV, les procès-verbaux que M. Issa Tchiroma est en train de balancer, permettez l'expression, sur la place publique, eh bien, les résultats qui sont sortis lui confère une certaine légitimité parce qu'être élu de cette façon-là, on ne l'a jamais vu. Et j'ai suivi une TikTokeuse kenyane qui disait qu'elle était impressionnée par la façon dont les Camerounais se sont levés. All Cameroonians have been involved in this electoral process. There is no tribalism, no community, there is no, there has been no issue about, no debate about being from the northwest or the southwest, being from the north or being from the south of the country.
Yes,
all Cameroonians have been standing for these elections. Yes.
Yeah, Jean-Claude, let me interrupt you here. Candidate Issa Tchiroma is calling on the military not to respect orders. The military has a commander-in-chief, and that commander-in-chief is the head of the military, and that is the president of the republic. That is the person who is serving as the head of the republic. So if the president of the republic gives that order to the military to execute certain decisions, is Tchiroma being right by trying to play the role of the head of state by saying don't do what the head of state is telling you to do?
He is, and it is his right. Why do I say this? 3 years ago, we have listened to the head of communication department of the Ministry of Defense, Mr. Tonfak. He said the military has the right to deny, a kind of order that does not respect the law. It is exactly what he said. And he said the military who is acting, okay, following the law. And if a ministry receives an order from his chief, to shoot on the populations, he has to evaluate if his life is under danger, if he's a self-defense action that he is operating. If not, he doesn't have to use his weapon. So a military has the right, as I was saying, the military has the right to say no to his chief if he's been pushed, not to respect the law.
But if Issa Tchiroma Bakari says he has won the elections and he's trying to move into the presidency and is telling the military not to execute rightful orders by the president of the republic, and the military listens to him, is that not a risk that if finally the Constitutional Council declares that Tchiroma won the election, then Tchiroma, when he's president, would also face that military by the military not executing decisions that he himself had told the military not to execute when he was not president?
It's true, and it's the same danger not only for the military, it's even among the populations. Tchiroma has been elected in a wonderful way, winning an election with more than 70%, according to the result from the ballot that we got a week ago. Winning the election in this way is a pressure. The population is pushing you up there to do what they want, not what you want. So Mr. Tchiroma it's not going to be easy for him and his government if he arrives there, because he will be forced, to respect the willing of the Cameroonian. So it's not the danger is not only for the army, for the militaries. As I told you before, for Tchiroma in a democratic regime, the law is the law. The institutions remain. As Barack Obama was saying, our countries, they don't need strong men. Our countries need strong institutions. So the military should be the same, and they should remain the same, whatever it is, Mr. Tchiroma or Mr. Paul Biya. So the military, they should only focus on the law, okay, on their obligations, on their rights that are protecting the population first, protecting democracy, protecting the institutions.
Yeah, so Tchiroma knows that there are institutions like the Constitutional Council that would review claims for fraud. He refused to file a petition at the Constitutional Council. At the Vote Counting Commission, his representative left before the proceedings were over. So he abandoned the legal procedures. Why is he putting now pressure on the military instead of following the institutions provided for by the law and the state?
Yeah, journalists and observers, we need to pay attention on this, because I don't think Mr. Tchiroma decided to abandon the legal process or procedures. Just only that, he's forcing. This is a very intelligent and strategic way to react, because he's pushing the Constitutional Council, to consider what is the recriminations of all, all those who have been taking part to the procedures, to the process. So he's forcing everyone, even the country. What I want to explain this like this, you know, la loi interdit que, alors la loi exige que depuis la commission communale de recensement des votes à la commission nationale ou même au Conseil constitutionnel en passant par la commission départementale et la commission nationale, on peut effectivement confronter les procès verbaux. C'est-à-dire, si le procès verbal que j'ai reçu au sorti du bureau de vote, j'ai reçu une copie et l'État m'a reçu une copie et nous arrivons à la commission communale et je constate qu'il y a un différentiel de résultats entre ce que j'ai dans mon PV et le PV que l'État apporte. Okay, je suis en droit de revendiquer la confrontation. And we did not have this confrontation. Pourquoi? Parce que les juges qui sont les fonctionnaires avec les agents de l'ECAM, ils travaillent pour le régime, en fait. Et ils ont refusé cela. Alors, ça fait qu'il y a cette entorse et le fait que M. Tchiroma, he refused to go to the Constitutional Council, il va forcer le Conseil constitutionnel parce que, alors, la loi dit, il faut bien écouter les thèmes et c'est Maître Ntimbane qui l'a bien expliqué. La loi dit que le Conseil constitutionnel arrête et proclame les résultats. Ça fait deux choses. Alors, qu'est-ce que arrêter les résultats et qu'est-ce que proclamer les résultats? Arrêter les résultats veut dire que le Conseil constitutionnel doit d'abord recevoir tous les procès-verbaux, s'assurer que l'élection s'est déroulée sans problème, qu'il n'y a pas de récrimination, qu'il n'y a pas de revendication. Or, vous et moi, nous savons qu'il y a beaucoup de revendications. Il va falloir effectivement, le leader de l'opposition, le candidat Issa Tchiroma en tête, revendique cette confrontation. Donc, le Conseil constitutionnel, selon la loi, si la loi est respectée, le Conseil constitutionnel, they cannot publish those results without making sure that there is no recrimination. Donc, ils ne vont jamais, si la loi est respectée, ils ne vont pas procéder à la publication sans avoir arrêté les résultats. C'est-à-dire vérifier que le processus ne souffre de rien, que tout a été bien respecté, que les résultats ne sont pas contestés. Ce n'est qu'après qu'ils vont dans ce radon. En allant par la Cour constitutionnelle, je crois que Issa Tchiroma a mis le Conseil constitutionnel face à ses responsabilités. Et je crois que c'est la même stratégie qui a guidé Joshua aussi et Cabral Libi qui ont retiré leur recours afin de mettre la pression sur le Conseil constitutionnel. Aujourd'hui, il reste une seule personne. La question qu'on se pose, est-ce que le Conseil constitutionnel va tenir compte du fait qu'une candidate, Tomaino Ndamjoya, elle est la seule au Conseil constitutionnel aujourd'hui qui a un recours là-bas. Est-ce que la Cour constitutionnelle va statuer sur ce seul petit recours qui relève des fraudes mineures? Ou alors le Conseil constitutionnel va considérer les grandes fraudes que dénoncent les candidats majeurs? That's the question.
But if the measure candidates have withdrawn their petitions and Tchiroma did not submit a petition at all at the Constitutional Council, what would the Constitutional Council be examining?
The Constitutional Council will make sure that, and it is their obligation to make sure that the electoral process went all well.
Yeah, so but sure. The only information that will be in front of the electoral of the Constitutional Council is going to be the report from the National Vote Counting Commission and from Madame Tomaino Ndamjoya, because those are the only petitions that are in front of them. The Constitutional Council does not go elsewhere to look for information.
And I think this is, the Constitutional, this is a political election. This is a political election. I'm sure that, and the major candidate they didn't take a legal position. Okay, this is a political position from those candidates. Joshua Ossi, Cabral Libi, and Issa Tchiroma. It is a political position because they need to arm the international community, making sure. And if you listen to Issa Tchiroma's speech yesterday, he was calling on Nigeria, Chad, all the neighboring countries, the international community. So this is to make sure that those people, the international community are going to ask, for recounting of the vote, pour compter les voix. Voilà. Je crois que c'est à ce niveau-là. C'est une position politique parce que c'est une élection politique et la Cour constitutionnelle, le Conseil constitutionnel est politique. Donc, ils vont être sûrs, ils veulent être certains que maintenant la communauté internationale entre en jeu et ils vont demander qu'il y ait une commission indépendante internationale qui recompte tous les votes selon les procès-verbaux sortis des bureaux de vote. Donc, et ça va être non plus la Cour constitutionnelle, mais la communauté internationale, comme cela a été advenu en Côte d'Ivoire, qui va procéder à la certification des procès-verbaux qui seront en fin de compte, donc, lorsque tout le monde sera d'accord, ces procès-verbaux certifiés par la communauté internationale pourraient être envoyés donc à la Cour constitutionnelle pour donc la proclamation des résultats, parce que les procès-verbaux, les résultats auront déjà été arrêtés par tout le monde.
I have two questions to this. The first one, what degree of certainty do you have that the international community is going to intervene in the matter? And then the second question is, pourquoi même les inviter? Si Tchiroma est sûr qu'il a gagné les élections, pourquoi jouer au jeu de la communauté internationale?
Le problème, c'est, alors, à ce niveau, je réponds en tant qu'observateur, c'est juste pour faire voir que, alors, il reste deux choses. Effectivement, et ils n'ont fermé la porte à aucune de ces deux positions. They are trying to travel on two ways. They didn't absolutely close their door to all those two options. The first one is the international community. Okay, the second one is to call on the population to go and to demonstrate, to manifester massivement, parce que si nous avons demain, après-demain, 1 million de personnes, 500 000 personnes à Yaoundé, 1 million de personnes à Douala, comme cela est advenu à Garoua, il y a une semaine, je crois, et vous avez vu à Garoua, il n'y a pas eu d'incident, il n'y a pas eu de mort, il n'y a pas eu de blessés parce que la population était sortie en masse pour protéger la résidence d'Issa Tchiroma. Ça va être la même chose, n'est-ce pas? Si la population sort à Yaoundé, et c'est à ce niveau qu'on revient sur les militaires, si la population sort en masse, eh bien, les militaires ne vont absolument pas bouger, ils seront aux côtés du peuple parce que la victoire d'Issa Tchiroma, la victoire de la transition ne souffre d'aucun doute. En revanche, et ça, ce sont les quelques militaires avec qui j'ai parlé, donc je ne crois pas trahir un secret ici. En revanche, si c'est seulement 50 personnes qui sortent, ben on va les arrêter parce que c'est plus facile de les arrêter, de les tabasser parce que les militaires doivent montrer à leur hiérarchie que they are doing their job, qu'ils sont en train de faire leur travail. Donc, s'il y a des milliers de personnes qui sortent, comme à Garoua, ça va être difficile de les stopper. Et à ce moment-là, la voix de la rue va porter et l'élection va connaître certainement une issue politique qui va amener soit le régime actuel à abdiquer, à reconnaître la victoire de l'opposition, soit alors, effectivement, c'est la communauté internationale qui va intervenir. Et comme vous le disiez, vous avez raison, la communauté internationale est très lente à intervenir, surtout que le Cameroun est un pays particulier au niveau de la géostratégie, de la géopolitique dans le golfe de Guinée. Le Cameroun, ce n'est pas un pays où on intervient n'importe comment. Parce que c'est un précaré ou un ancien précaré français Et puis, il y a les Américains qui ont leurs intérêts au niveau du Nord parce qu'avec la lutte contre Boko Haram, ils ont la vue sur le Sahel, sur le Nigeria, sur le Tchad, et ainsi de suite. Donc, il se joue, c'est un enjeu important. Je vois que vous voyez un peu la posture des médias internationaux depuis que cette élection a commencé. International media, they are not talking at all. They are talking about our election like, comme des faits divers. OK? Et donc, surtout les médias français, ils parlent des élections au Cameroun, alors que le Cameroun est un pays important dans le précaré français, mais les Français ont décidé de ne pas en parler, et même quand ils en parlent, ils sélectionnent des gens qui peuvent parler au nom du régime, en faveur du régime. Voilà ce qui est en train de se jouer aujourd'hui au Cameroun et au niveau où ça pourrait intéresser la communauté internationale.
Okay, I thank you. I don't want to focus on the international community for the moment. Let's talk about the demonstrations and the manifestations you're talking about. You just said it will be important for hundreds of thousands of people to come out on the streets. Do you see any possibility of that happening? And then, secondly, is Issa Tchiroma banking on a high? Is he banking on the population to go take power, or is he relying on the fact that he won the election? I'm not being clear here with your analysis.
No, for any political leader, the first thing should be having won the elections. He should have won the election, to call on the population to go on the street. That is the first thing. And at this
but is calling the population to go on the streets not a risky business, considering what we already know about demonstrations in Cameroon?
Absolutely not. It is not, because as I was saying, everything depends on how many people are going on the street. This is the issue, and I think everything is there. It is the key of this of going out. It is all about how many people are going on the street.
But how do you motivate 1 million people to go out on the streets?
I think it is possible, as considering the fact that last week no one called on the population to go on the street, but we had a lot of people who went on the street, and you saw what happened in some major cities in the country. And I think the fact that people went there, even if some of them have been arrested in Chang, but it is the fact that they went on the street that changed the result in favor of Issa Tchiroma in Chang, in the Mainwa division. Okay, so this time everyone is focused, listening to the leader. It's going to depend on who is calling on. Don't forget that it's not like in 2018. This time, I think the opposition is well organized around Issa Tchiroma. They are very well organized. You have people from all the parts of Cameroon. First of all, you have the Nozo people and leaders who have voted a lot, okay, in favor of Issa Tchiroma. They voted for Issa Tchiroma, but their vote has been, has been okay? The vote of the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions have been given to Mr. Bia because they say he won there.
Yes, I just want to come back to the point you made about the opposition rallying around Issa Tchiroma. We have not seen any of these candidates actually come out plainly and say that Mr. Tchiroma won. Those who say that
Not the candidate.
But then which other parties are coming around Mr. Tchiroma?
Yeah, listening attentively, I'm not talking about the political parties. There are the political parties now in Cameroon are the business associations. Okay, now I'm talking about the people, the personalities of in Cameroon who are around Issa Tchiroma. You have someone like Anise Kane. You know how many people Anise Kane can bring out on the street in Douala. You know, even in the south, in the center, when you have people like around him, even his support like Kalis Bayala, who is talking to the between young people who are following, because make sure people, Mr. Bia has lost the elections, even in his own village. So this demonstrates that they are only waiting for the word from their leader. There are too many important, very influent people around Issa Tchiroma. I don't think what Mr. Ikane can say, Cabral Libi can say it. Okay? Cabral Libi cannot call, of course, he can call on his militant, but I don't think he will do so. Because we used to say that those guys are running, are playing for the government. They are not playing for the opposition and for the change. They don't need any change. This is what we are doing. So according to those people who are around Mr. Tchiroma, there are too many people there. And even I wanted to say, whatever you don't see Mr. Maurice Kamto on the backstage, or no, on the front stage, but me, I can see his hand everywhere, you know, in this action. So don't be surprised that there can be a very high mobilization in the West Province, in the northern, both northwest and southwest regions, in all the north regions in the north, far north in Adamawa and in Douala, also in Yaoundé. You know, they are only listening. That's why, you know, if you see how they are moving, ils sont en train de s'agiter. Vous avez vu, il y a le ministre Margambois, qui est l'un des artisans, l'une des premières personnes qui devrait aller en prison. Après le changement, parce que c'est l'un des faucons qui ne veulent pas laisser le pouvoir.
JC, quand tu évoques la question de la prison en ce moment, est-ce que tu ne pousses pas ceux qui sont au pouvoir maintenant de tout faire pour rester au pouvoir afin d'éviter la prison?
Non, mais le problème, c'est que chacun doit répondre de ses actes. Et ils ne vont pas être en prison par vengeance, ils vont aller en prison parce qu'ils ont voulu détourner le vote du peuple. C'est un peu comme tous ceux qui ont organisé la désinformation, tous les jeunes journalistes du RDPC qui sont à Yaoundé, ils devront répondre des lois de la République parce que ce sont eux qui nous amènent à cette période de tension. Ce sont eux, et là, ça s'appelle atteinte à la sûreté de l'État parce qu'ils sont en train de lutter contre le vote des Camerounais. Détourner le vote populaire est un crime contre l'humanité.
Mais est-ce que les journalistes sont là pour détourner les votes? Ils ne travaillent pas, ils ne travaillent ni à l'ECAM, ni au Conseil constitutionnel. Comment ils peuvent détourner les votes?
Vous avez vu le nombre de journalistes qui sont proches du RDPC? All those young journalists working for the CPDM, working for the government, working for this regime, Bruno Bijan, Bia, Ernest Obama, and those others who have been producing fake news everywhere, you know, using AI, artificial intelligence, using it to produce, you know, de fake news, de fausses informations, ils ont absorbé. Et vous savez ce qui s'est passé? Il s'est passé que pendant une semaine, nous avons dit que M. Issa Tchiroma avait gagné. Ils ont dit non. Ils ont entraîné avec une partie de la jeunesse petite qui a peur du changement, une partie de la jeunesse petite qui veut s'arc-bouter sur ses privilèges, ils ont peur du changement. Alors, nous avons dit pendant une semaine que M. Issa Tchiroma a gagné les élections, était en tête avec au moins 1 million de votes. Ils ont dit non. Mais vendredi matin, vendredi dernier, tous ont commencé à dire Paul Biya a fait la remontada. What does remontada mean? Remontada means that someone else was leading, and now you are trying to equalize.
But
Okay, c'est le dernier jour.
Jise, is that not people sharing their opinion? Why do you want to hold them for sharing their opinion or even for lying? If somebody lies, is that a problem? It's not supposed to be a problem. That's my opinion. You simply say, you simply bring your own opinion or your own facts to disprove the lie.
No, lying is a problem. Lying, it's against the law. Using fake news in this kind of moment, it's very dangerous for the security of all the citizens of Cameroon. C'est une atteinte à la sûreté de l'État.
If they are bringing fake news, why don't you just bring the right news to counter what they are saying? Why do you want to call that a crime? That is just expressing their opinions.
No, it is according to the laws that their own laws. Do you know how many people that have been jailed in Cameroon just because they have published one post?
That is why Cameroonians are fighting for change. Cameroonians are fighting for change so that those bad laws are taken off the books.
Exactly. I agree with you. But the law is the law until it's changed.
So you are saying that the law that gives the Constitutional Council the power to decide on elections the way they want to or the way they have done so far is the law and remains the law until it has been changed. So whatever they declare on Thursday or in the course of the week is going to stand firm so that Paul Biya retains the power if that is what they decide.
But the law is the law until the population goes on the street and say no, because the law is made in the name of the population, in the name of the country, of the people. La loi, c'est pour le peuple. So, see like that, la loi, c'est le peuple qui décide que c'est la loi. Ces gens qui ont voulu confisquer l'élection, ils se sont attaqués au peuple entier. Ils ont volé parce qu'une élection comme celle-ci, ça fait le tour du monde. C'est-à-dire que quelqu'un ne peut pas gagner une élection de manière aussi claire. Ce ne fut pas une élection, ce fut un référendum. Mais ces gens ont créé une officine, ils ont combattu le peuple camerounais pendant une semaine jusqu'à présent. Ils continuent de produire de fausses informations pour permettre au régime de se maintenir au pouvoir. C'est très dangereux. Parce que s'ils ne l'avaient pas fait, ce régime n'aurait pas. Ils ont créé de fausses informations. Ce régime n'aurait pas tenu jusqu'à ce moment. Ils auraient déjà jeté l'éponge. Parce que la victoire, c'est quand même. La victoire de M. Tchiroma ne se discute pas. C'est une victoire limpide, mais ce sont eux qui se mettent contre le peuple. C'est-à-dire que tout le monde qui se met contre le peuple commet un crime. Il doit être jugé pour ça. Et c'est le peuple qui va exiger que tous ceux qui se mettent contre eux, je ne parle pas des règlements de compte économiques sur les détournements de fonds, et ainsi de suite. Je ne demande pas qu'on ait arrêté les gens seulement parce qu'ils ont appartenu à un régime. Je demande une punition exemplaire pour que quelqu'un d'autre, que ce soit toi demain, que ce soit moi, que ce soit quelqu'un d'autre, ne se mette pas contre le vote populaire. Parce que le vote, c'est l'expression du peuple et on ne doit pas toucher au vote. C'est-à-dire, dans la société où toi et moi nous vivons, si quelqu'un touche au résultat des élections, c'est un criminel.
Okay, you have made some assumption to tribal inclinations on youth who are protecting the vote. Can you explain this to us? Because we are in a political setting where we think everything is being done by political parties and the use of political parties. Why are you attaching that to youth of a particular tribe?
Even because you are not talking about the youth, you are talking about the media professional. The main role of the media are to make information. Do you agree with me? Those people, they are not acting as journalists. Ils sont en train de faire de la cybercriminalité. Alors, ce ne sont pas des jeunes influenceurs du quartier, ce sont des professionnels de la communication qui ont choisi de mettre leur profession entre parenthèses pour faire de la cybercriminalité. Et c'est pour ça que j'appelle à ce qu'ils soient jugés pour ça. Et ils ont utilisé de la cybercriminalité parce que sinon, les jeunes journalistes vont croire que c'est ça faire l'information. Ce n'est pas cela faire l'information. Ils sont en train de faire de la cybercriminalité et donc ils doivent répondre. Et leur cybercriminalité, c'est contre la volonté du peuple.
Jesse,
qui fait les lois. Oui.
Are you sure they are not going to also say that you are committing cybercrime here by lying about them on media, that what they are saying is wrong? Because do you have any evidence to support the claim that what they are saying is not true?
Yeah, what they are saying is not wrong. That's why it's exactly what I'm saying. You know, maybe yesterday you're listening to Ernest Obama, who is the former director of Vision Card and B News. He was, I don't know, he was talking on, there is a talk show on Canal International. He was asking for the media, for all those guys who have been making la cybercriminalité. Il a demandé qu'on donne une médaille à Raoul Christophe Bia, à Bruno Bidjan, parce que ce sont eux, disait-il, qui ont permis, qui ont empêché que M. Tchiroma arrive au pouvoir. Il le disait jusque-là. Or, M. Tchiroma, c'est l'expression de la volonté populaire.
Voilà. Selon toi, est-ce que avez-vous des preuves pour démontrer qu'ils sont au courant que Tchiroma n'a pas gagné les élections?
Ils sont au courant puisqu'ils ont continué à faire, à produire toute l'information parce que ce sont eux qui ont commencé à dire dès la première journée que le président Biya avait gagné l'élection à 80%. Dès le premier jour. Ils disaient que Biya avait gagné l'élection à 80%, ce qui est faux, naturellement, parce que tous les procès-verbaux que nous avons, nous pouvons démontrer que M. Tchiroma a gagné l'élection, mais eux, ils ne peuvent pas sortir un procès-verbal vrai, sauf si c'est un faux procès-verbal. Ils ne peuvent pas sortir un procès-verbal vrai qui démontre que M. Biya a gagné l'élection et surtout a gagné l'élection avec ce score-là.
Okay, let's turn our attention to this letter from the SDO, the prefect of Edea, the Sanaga Maritime. He's inviting the leaders of the Bamileke, the Grand Nord, and the Anglophone communities to a working session that he's going to chair, and the topic of the agenda is going to be disclosed during the meeting. What do you make of this invitation?
I'm not sure I got you clearly. Could you please repeat this?
So the prefect of Sanaga Maritime has sent a letter.
Yes.
Let me just read it as it is. Mesdames et messieurs, les chefs de communauté Bamileke, Grand Nord anglophone. Yeah. So why do you think he is inviting them to a meeting and doesn't give the agendas up front, but telling them to wait and come and see the agenda during the meeting?
This is a very nice question, and it's amazing. You know, only that small, very short letter is that very short letter is the meaning of all what is going on in Cameroon. When you see that letter, they choose only 3 communities. The communities from the northern region of Cameroon, the northern people, and the Bamileke, as it is written that way. Ça veut dire que ces gens-là, ils ont décidé qu'il n'y a que 3 communautés au Cameroun qui contestent les élections. Les Bamileke, les ressortissants du Nozo et les ressortissants du Nord, région dont M. Tchiroma est originaire. Alors, ce qui est intéressant, c'est qu'ils ont inclus le Nozo. Or, le même régime dit que Paul Biya won the elections in the Nozo. They said Paul Biya won the election in the northwest and southwest regions.
Mais vous ne savez pas pourquoi. Tu ne sais pas pourquoi il les invite. Peut-être il les invite pour les féliciter.
Non. Il les a invités. Peut-être que j'ai su la réunion. Il les invite. J'ai activé mes réseaux à aider. Il les a invités c'est parce que Atanganji lui a demandé à tous les préfets de veiller. C'est pour ça que Mbargamba était à Douala cet après-midi pour rencontrer la communauté du Nord. Mais ces gens-là, ils ont perdu le sommeil. Ils savaient qu'ils ont volé le vote des Camerounais. Ils ne dorment pas. C'est eux qui parlaient de guerre. C'est eux qui parlaient de paix. C'est eux qui parlaient de brûler. Vous n'avez jamais entendu un candidat de l'opposition dire qu'il va brûler. Mais ce sont eux qui utilisent ces expressions. Donc la chose intéressante et comique, la chose comique est que they said they won the election in the Nozo, but at the same time, they are worried. They are afraid that the Nozo could be part of those who are going to go on the street. Very amazing this.
So you think they believe that Nozo is going to be on the streets? Why do you think Nozo is going to be on the streets?
It is exactly the purpose of that meeting. Okay, because they want to make sure that the people of Nozo are not going to go on the street. Okay, and this is really amazing because they said that in their report, official report, that Bia won the elections in the Nozo. So Bia is supposed to be, loved in that region.
So I am seeing another letter now written by the CPDM, the EDPC of, it says appel au calme, à la paix et à l'apaisement avant et après la proclamation des résultats de l'élection présidentielle 2025. And the first sentence, it is from the CPDM. It is signed by Hele Pierre and Dr. Taiga from Mayokani and Extreme North. The first sentence is le pouvoir vient de Dieu et il ne se trompe pas. What do you make of that opening sentence in a CPDM communique today?
I didn't see the community, their press release yet, but I'm really amazed to hear that they say power is coming from God. Okay, but not power of stealing our elections, our votes. This kind of power is from the devil. It doesn't come from God. And this is why I think Cameroonians are fighting. Every Cameroonian should stand and fight to protect its vote.
I have heard a lot about Cameroonians fighting to protect their votes. On the day of the elections, Cameroonians were the polling stations to protect the votes, to ensure that the votes were counted rightly, and then the same results were sent to Elecam. But now, with the counting of the votes, I continue to hear that Cameroonians should protect their votes. Does it mean that protecting the votes at the polling station is not enough?
It's not enough. It's not enough at this stage because we have criminals, we have thieves. We have thieves in front.
So how can Cameroonians protect their votes now when the votes are already at the Constitutional Council?
Cameroonians can protect their vote now because we still are, all Cameroonians, we still are under the domination of this system. They have the army, they have the police, they have the gendarmerie. So we have nothing. You know, now we need to make sure that our voice is going to be heard. This is the purpose of protesting at this stage. We have to make sure that they are listening to us. And those people, because they don't want to go. You know, it's not easy to remove a system of 43 years. They have their privilege and advantage, and they don't want to leave it. So managing our petroleum, our money, our gold, our diamond, our all natural resources, and they don't want to leave.
Yeah, but the question is, how do citizens who voted on the 12th of October protect the votes now, where the votes are already at the Constitutional Council or at the National Counting Committee?
In all the countries in this world where democracy is in danger, when people they come on the street by million, hundreds of thousands, and then no army can stop them. It is the only way for the Cameroonian, to push those people out of their country. out of the power.
My question remains: how do you motivate 100,000, 200,000, 1 million people to get out on the streets?
Because they are listening to their leader. They are voted for, and they know that it is the first time, in Cameroon that we are very close to push this regime out of the power of the speech, out of our country. It is the first time. The population, they know that.
So are you saying that the military people and the police are also listening to these leaders?
They are. They are only because many of them have voted for they get their vote for Tchiroma. Many of those people, unfortunately, they can't do anything if the population, because the army seems to be neutral. They can't intervene if the population doesn't ask them to intervene. So if the population go out, the army will take their responsibility. This is what I'm trying to explain.
And how are you sure that the army is going to take their responsibility when the army is under the direct control and command of the current commander in chief of the armed forces, who is Paul Biya?
Everywhere, when I'm just taking, I'm trying to. My example is what happened last Sunday in Garwa. Okay, there we had 100,000 people at least, and there was no incident there. Nothing happened there. Because when you have a lot of people on the street, the army, they can't do anything because they are there to protect the people first. The people is up the institution, not under.
But Gise, when you say this, do you remember that le Cameroun, c'est le Cameroun et la terre glisse au Cameroun pendant la saison sèche?
Le Cameroon was the Cameroon. Le Cameroon is no more the Cameroon since 1 week. Because Cameroonians, they show that even if le Cameroon, c'est le Cameroon, but they decided this time to send this regime away. Cameroonians, with their vote, they express themselves clearly. They said they don't need Paul Biya and co anymore. And I think this should be respected. Because they don't want to respect this, Cameroonians, they don't have to stop themselves there. They don't need to stop there. They need to move 2-3 steps ahead to make sure that those people that have been sent away by the ballot are completely leaving our palace and our office, our ministries, and so on.
All right, let's look at one more thing, and then I'll let you go. Musa Njoya, who is a political scientist and very active on the political scene, and he was at the National Vote Counting Commission. Do you know him?
I know him, yes. Very a friend of mine.
Good. So he has been giving some updates, and 3 hours ago he said they are still waiting for the draft of the procès verbal of the commissions of the National Vote Counting Commission since 11 o'clock. Then about 10 minutes ago, he said it is almost 10 p.m. in Yaoundé, and they still don't have the draft of the procès verbal from the vote counting commission. What do you think is holding them?
It is exactly the same thing that happened. It is the same thing that happened 1 week ago. After the ballot, after the result of the Bureau de Vote, when Mr. Biya lost the elections and he was informed, and then he instructed Atanganji, they moved their all the night. They called the subdivisioners and divisioners officer and told them they instructed them how to change the vote, how to change the result. It is the same thing that is going on. That draft that Mr. Njoya Musa is talking about, it was supposed to be shared at the same time at the time in the room, in that room, and it was supposed to be signed by everyone before they leave. And now you will see that draft will arrive, and it will not be, it is not reflect at all the result that was there.
So what do you what do you think is holding? What do you think is disturbing them from signing the procès verbal?
Nothing is disturbing. Those people, they have been disturbed since 1 week because they didn't, they didn't expect. They didn't expect that Cameroonian would shoot them with this kind of vote. It's a shameful for them because every day in their arrogant speech, they were saying, okay, they are the most beautiful, the men handsome, the men intelligent, the men rich, they can move, they are working very well. And then one day, one Sunday afternoon, all Cameroonians, they came there and they told them, hey, you ladies and gentlemen, we don't need you anymore. This is what is going on. And it is not easy to force those people to accept their defeat. It's not easy at all to make them accept that they have lost the elections and they have to leave the power. This is the main thing to do at this time. This is why the population, they cannot stop. They can stay among, behind, and around their leaders to make sure that they are bringing him into the power.
Jean-Claude Fudambede, thank you so much for overcoming the challenges of technology and joining us on WhatsApp. I suppose your contribution has been very useful and meaningful to the viewers. We've seen comments and we've not seen any complaints. Do you have any last words for the viewers?
No, but thank you for inviting me, and we'll keep following what is going on and make sure that those people, they are living, they are respecting the expression of democracy, of the freedom with which the population of Cameroon have decided to vote massively, clearly, to decide for their future. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Jean-Claude Fuda. See you next time, and that next time could be as early as tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you're on Beyond Africa podcast with me, your host, Ngalim Bernard, and my guest, Jean-Claude Mbede Fuda, who's walked us through the difficulties of this moment, going through Tchiroma's letter calling on the military to stand guard, to respect institutions, to respect their oath of office, to respect the law, and not to shoot or attack citizens who go out to demonstrate because they believe the elections might have been rigged. We are still waiting to hear from the Constitutional Council. Apparently, the results or the final report from the vote counting committee, from the National Vote Counting Commission, is not yet available. It's been sitting there for about 10 hours. They are still waiting on it. But one thing we know that might have influenced the final report is the publications that Tchiroma started making yesterday. And let's watch and see what is going to happen. As one of the bloggers is saying every day, what a time to be alive. 1 hour is very significant in politics. 1 minute is very significant in politics. So keep watch, be firm, be fierce, and be vigilant. This has been the Beyond Africa podcast with me, your host, Ngalim Bernard. I first of all want to apologize for the technical issues we had before I leave. The technical issues are beyond our control. We're going to do everything possible to fix them so that the next session, the next live session, we're going to have all our guests in the studio and would enjoy the conversation. We know the information that we are sharing is valuable, and you all want to be part and parcel of the observation and the commentary leading up to the declaration of the presidential election results in Cameroon. So we're going to make that happen. We're going to go backstage and work with the technicians to ensure that tomorrow or next time we have a live session, all our guests are in the studio, and you can also call in to tell us what you think about the topics on discussion. We encourage you to like, share, and leave a comment so that we know how we are doing. We trust that we bring to you the best experts on the question and on the issues, and you're definitely going to have more information in the days ahead. So thank you so much. Stay tuned and see you during the next episode of the Beyond Africa live presentation. I think we are going to have a joint presentation tomorrow on the Mimi Mefo platform, where we are going to be discussing issues, especially related to the Constitutional Council. It's going to be a joint presentation by Mimi Mefo Info, the Beyond Africa podcast, and the CNN News Agency. So just stay tuned and watch our platforms to see if we're going to send out any information. We'll likely do. If not, then we may just go live and you'll see us live. So stay tuned and be good people. Take care of yourselves, drink a lot of water, breathe fresh air, because the times are tough and your brains need enough energy to keep you going. Bye-bye. What a time to be alive.